Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Cody.
And this week we got big news. We got the ban and suspended list, or ban and restricted list now. So this is that's going to be most of our conversation today. There's a little bit more of a couple other things, our week in Flesh and Blood, but
we're gonna discuss the card leaks, but not the actual cards themselves, just the fact that they were leaked. And a little bit on Battle Hardened Chicago.
Yeah, totally. So do you want to start us off? What did you do in Flesh and Blood this week?
Nothing too much. I've been doing a lot of Talishar testing of Living Legend, actually. For those of you that don't know, we actually have a handful of Living Legend Pro Quests this upcoming season, and so I'm really excited to be getting some games there. And I think this past week was my first real games in Living Legend, and of course playing Dromai, testing that out, and it's been nice. It's been like a return to my best place in Flesh and Blood is playing Dromai. That's my first main in the game. I played Dex before her, but not really mained anything, and so it's been really nice playing her again. And I've also been testing a couple other things in Living Legend. I was really impressed by the format so far. Actually, it hasn't seemed extremely crazy by any means, at least in the experiences that I've had so far. But anyway, that's been my week of Flesh Blood. I wasn't able to do any in-person play, but did some Talishar testing of Living Legend.
Have you tried any Dio? I hear she's pretty good. And
I haven't. I should. I should try some nice high octane -io, but she seems very feast or famine. I've heard that you either find your stuff early and you just blast off, or you kind of don't do anything for a while and you die. So I don't know if that's exactly how I want to play that format, but we'll see. I will try it out at some point.
I get like locking in on a hero and that may or may not be good.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was playing a lot of like Talishar too, and I was looking at like Talishar stats, and Volda right now is at a 50% win rate across all of like February and Talishar, which I think is the highest Guardian win rate in a while.
That is impressive,
I get
actually. That's pretty good. It's even playing a lot of Talishar, playing Volda.
Yeah. But I was just like, I get locking in on bad decks. Like I've been Guardian for a long time now.
I think she's pretty good. I think she's in a good spot.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else you did in Flesh and Blood this week? I heard you did some what was it called? The 4-player thing. Smash Palace.
I did play some Smash Palace and brought a few friends that don't really play Flesh and Blood. So they had a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun, really cool. It's I don't know how to go into it without going into a lot of detail. But it's like the event deck is like cool because it does like make every turn a little bit different or change how you think about a turn. Like there's one event hero that I think I had the most fun with, and it was Cox, the guy that you break a gold. It lets you see the top 3 events and organize it in any way you want.
Keep forgetting to get the card thing ready.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know what that is either. Let's see. Card overlay. You said Cox? COX?
Yeah, KOX.
KOX.
Fight Master Cox. He has 4 intelligence, 19 health. You may tap him, destroy a gold you control, look at the top 3 cards of the next event or of the event deck, and put them back in any order. That was a lot of fun to just mess around with it.
Someone who hasn't looked into this at all, is there a new card? Is it every turn that you get a new event card, or how does that work?
So it comes with an event deck, and at the start of everyone's turn, you flip it, and something happens. So you flip off the top, and like, oh, it's a shield, and you don't have a shield, so you pick it up, and now you have a shield. Or like you flip off the top, and then it's like you create it's like all tokens you create get doubled for the turn. Create a gold token, so you create 2 gold tokens.
So it's a benefit for whoever's turn it is that flips the card.
Sometimes there was like one where I was like preparing for something. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have this huge setup turn. This is gonna be sick. I flip my event card and it says, if you don't deal damage this turn, you take 2 damage. I'm like, oh no.
Interesting.
Like my turn, because I was at really low life. I'm like, I can't just like take 2 damage.
That's funny.
So
I'll
like
play that
there's like
sometime. That sounds fun.
yeah, it's like a fun little event deck, and it was really fun with Cox because I'm like, okay, well, let me see what you guys are getting. I'm like, I think they could use this, and they're kind of attacking me a lot, so I'll give them the one that deals 2 damage to them if they don't hit, and then I'll be prepared to block it out, and then like messing around with it, and then I would sit back and then hope I like draw a gold off the top or do something. And there was one time where I like the person that was attacking me. There's a wager card where it says the winner gets 2 gold. So I like gave them that because I knew they were gonna try to attack me, and I had like a block card, and I had like a way to get around their dominate because like they had something ready for dominate, and I was like, It was fun. It was really cool to kind of
That's
play
cool,
around
yeah.
how the opponent was playing.
And remind me, do you pick your hero before you see your deck, or how does that work?
What we did was, we did a couple of different things. We originally opened up 3 packs, crack shuffle play, didn't look at our deck at all, and then just picked random heroes.
Okay.
And then, so we did so we did 1 round of that. Then we kept the same deck, picked a different hero if it fit better, or if we just wanted to try a different hero. And then 3rd round, what we did was we did like a trade round where we could find some cards in our deck we didn't like, and we traded around with each other. So then we like did something,
yeah.
and then we like picked a hero based off of like how we traded around. So that was like it was a lot of fun.
That sounds sick. Yeah, that seems like the perfect scenario to play that to play Smash Palace in. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's like I really enjoyed it. I'm interested to see how it does outside of Guardian Mastery Pack. Like, okay, like let's just like play sealed. Let's get blitz decks. Let's throw those together. And especially with like my more casual friends that play like once in a blue moon in a situation like this, I'm interested to see like, oh, let's get these like random small decks together and see how this interacts with this, because it's like there's gold, and like maybe some heroes won't be able to use the gold if like per se their Fi have no blues.
Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to do a blitz version of like 1v1 blitz with an event deck with only these heroes. That could be fun.
Be wild. that could be fun, but there would be some that way benefit the person that draws the event card. It is super swingy.
Is it? Yeah, I guess blitz would also make it a little tougher because you dominate and stuff more often and have actual good attacks.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the attacks off the top is your attack has or your like first attack has dominate this turn.
Okay, yeah. So there's some good stuff in there.
There's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
but you don't get to see it until the start of your turn, so you can't. You have to make your blocking decisions first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Fight Master Cox, and you get to look at the top 3, and then you would know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's cool. Even just manipulating what the opponents get is really cool. Because, like, again, like the person in the corner who's like your ally, you're like, I'll buff you up. Like, you can do some crazy stuff. I'll give that to you. Yeah. Oh, this person over here, he's gonna take 2 damage, or he's going to attack. Like,
yeah, seems fun.
There's some fun stuff.
Nice. Anything else for Flesh and Blood this week?
I did go to an armory, and it was like average armory experience. A lot of fun. So played Valda, obviously. I'm locked in.
I thought about asking, and I was like, I don't need to ask.
Yeah. But locked in on Valda, like I always do. And it was a lot of fun because, like, after the armory, me and a couple guys, like, stayed. And I think we probably stayed, like, at least me and another, like, stayed an hour late just like talking. Like we were outside the event just talking, and it was stuff like, oh, like it started with like the band announcement, and it moved to like just generally playing Flesh and Blood throughout the years, from like the early to the now, and then it was like, oh, like lore. It was like it went
That's
through a
fun.
whole circle of like Flesh and Blood. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick. Was this like level 7 Tuesday or something?
Yeah, it was level 7 on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's been a good experience so far from what I've heard.
It's
Been a good
been
armory to go to. Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. If there's unless there's anything else, we can dive into the bands. The juicy information from this week, or juicy event of the week, is the BNR, and it happened at the start of the week. So there's been a lot of discussion about it already, but obviously we got to cover it and voice our own opinions because we have a podcast, so we have to have our opinions out there. um, but anyway, so to review for anyone who's lived under a rock, the CC changes are that Bonds of Agony is banned, Golden Temple Red and Yellow is banned, Plume of Evergrowth is banned, Talk a Big Game is banned, Germany is unbanned, and then in Blitz, Talk a Big Game is banned as well, and in Living Legend, Deadwood Dirge is unrestricted. So if you haven't read the B&R article on the decisions for all these, I highly recommend reading that. It was actually a really good read, and they gave a detailed descriptive. It's almost like at least a paragraph on each one of these changes on why they're doing it, or why they are banning or unbanning cards, and it was a really good read. But I was going to go over it here a little bit. My first note is that this is pretty much what everyone is asking for in terms of bans, which is really cool to see. Everyone was like, let's get some either tipples or something out of gravy banned. Let's get bonds or mantle banned. Let's get something in verdance banned. And we got all those.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised on a few of them because I was like, not to go too deep into it already, but like the Plume of Evergrowth, like I did not think that was going. Like I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna do some like Autumn's Touch kind of band like they did with Starvo. Like they're just gonna hit one random blue from the deck. Like if they even touch it, because like we haven't even seen it with the new card yet. So it was like really interesting to like see them go like, okay, we're going straight for it. We're just cutting it at the nub. And I think it was something where a lot of people were ready for like, or a lot of people had high expectations and they were talking about much more aggressive bands coming up. So I think
yeah, I think
that's
like we can dive into that one in a second, but yeah, overall a lot of bands, which is great. They're taking their first steps to make good on their promise to be more active with their bands, not just doing small tweaks or changes here. They did some proactive stuff here as well. Yeah, we can start with Plume if that's if you want to start with that one, because I was also surprised that Plume was the choice. I said last week that I think I heard some rumors of Plume being a good band target, and I felt like that was a very flavorful card in Verdance. You're spending you're basically exchanging a blue in your hand for an earth card in your graveyard, and it allows you to a little bit more consistently do the combo or grab a piece you need, like a Felling in the Crown, or in the future light up the leaves if you just want to push some arcane. Maybe there's like Channel Millennium trees in the future, Channel Millennium tree decks that just want to get that arcane because it's arcane damage every turn, things like that. And so I thought it was a really cool card. It didn't feel overpowered to me in any way. It was nice and consistent, and if you look at the ban list discussion or the article, that's why they end up banning Plume. They mention is because of the consistency and because of light up the leaves being a guaranteed 6 arcane at the end game, which is a big deal, right? Because we all know how Icelanders Stormstriders went back in the Bowlander days, where you would basically just die to Emeritus Scolding plus Waning Moon plus another thing from their arsenal or hand or whatever. And so having that, oh, you're dead if you hit 11 health threshold can be a little bit rough to play around as the opponent. And so they mentioned they want to get rid of it because of Live the Leaves, because now you have an additional target for Plume, and you just have even more consistency. But I don't know. It seemed like a really cool card for Verdance, and I'm kind of sad to see it go.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was a really mechanically unique card. And the way it interacted, and it, like, the card itself isn't broken. How it interacts with specifically Verdant's gameplay is what makes it broken, per se, and
Right.
why it's in the ban list. But it's like, Jarl doesn't play it, Florian doesn't play it. No Earth Hero in the past has played it. It's been a draft common forever. So it was like really cool to see Verdance pick it up. And with how it interacts too, it's just pick an Earth card, which is like one of very, very few ways to get instants out of graveyard in the entire game. You have this, and then you have Verdance ally, or not Verdance,
Scuba?
Prism's ally that can pick up a yellow instant from graveyard. Those are like the only two ways to get instants from graveyard back into your deck or even into your hand in the entire game. So it's like a really unique and mechanically interesting card to me. And I thought like I was like, okay, like it's a part of Verdant's gameplay. It looks like how they want to develop into this hero, but it it was very consistent. And like to the point of what you were saying earlier, like as a Guardian player, once you hit like 20, like even like 22 life, it was just game over against Verdance. Because they'd be sitting on a rampant growth life, have all their E-pots set up, and then all of a sudden you hit 22 life, they fish out the other one, combo kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the idea, right? The idea behind the ban is that end game was so much more consistent because of that, because of Plume. You don't have to pitch stack the entire combo and wait for your pitch stack to come back up. You just you use one Everbloom life, or the rampant growth life. You use one of them sometime during the game, and then now you just wait for the seconder or the other two copies and just pop off. So yeah, it's interesting that it definitely hurts that end game ability for her, which I think is what, if I remember correctly, it's what they said they wanted to hurt in the article. But it's a cool card.
Yeah, I do want to say I actually played a couple Verdants now after like the band, and it's interesting. It's different. It's weird because like you can definitely see that they're playing less towards combo. They still have it as an option, but it feels like they're playing less towards combo. And I actually won against a Verdance as a Guardian. Like it's sick. Like
hell yeah,
that doesn't happen. So
that reminds me. I was listening to the Runaways podcast, and Noah Bagelman was like, this sucks because it makes them play the correct headpiece into me, and I wish they were playing Plume still. And I felt that as Dio, like a lot of them would just play Plume into me. I was like, thank God they don't have the 2-block crown in there instead.
No, it definitely feels weird seeing the 2-block crown, and it's a double-edged sword, but like it's better for Guardian overall. But you never want to see more armor block because you're trying to pivot around one turn, and that allows you to get around your pivot.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because they lose Plume and they lose that endgame consistency, but they also are running helmets that are very strong in their own right. These generic helmets like Crown of Providence and Balance of Justice, and so the helmet slot itself doesn't lose a lot of power. It's more of the overall game plan that gets hurt. But
yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but very glad that they took a proactive step for Verdance, because after we saw Lyath leaves, it was pretty clear that she was gonna be the best hero if nothing got touched.
Especially if they were touching Gravy. Like if they left it how it was, like things would have been fine, but it definitely would have been a higher level format.
Yeah.
But like with them hitting Gravy cards, it definitely felt like Verdance needed something.
I personally think that Verdance is the strongest deck in the game, and it's just Gravy that's holding her back. And that's it.
I am of that opinion as well.
Yeah. It's just, there's so many things for it. It has very strong early game. It's very defensive. It has a combo kill at the end game. It does everything you really need a deck to do. And it's only slightly weak to aggro, and not even by that much, really. And I mean, I felt good into it as Dio, but I didn't feel like it was an auto win by any means. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Super Slam meta affects her performance. But I still expect her to be a very solid deck in Super Slam.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Like, I mean, she just targets the meta in a way that like no other hero does. So
Yeah, that's
I imagine her being like Gravy in a way where it's like, sure, she might not be the best deck, but I feel like she's always going to be relevant.
Yeah. Speaking of Gravy, we got yellow and red golden tipple band. Now this is interesting because there were calls for those bands, whether it was all golden tipples or certain colors, swell, chum, and I think there's one other card that people were talking about banning that I'm blanking on right now. But regardless, they ended up choosing. Was it?
I think people were calling for Chart the High Seas to be banned.
Oh, that's right. It was just for like some blue to get banned, whether it was Chart the High Seas or Portside Exchange.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they ended up choosing red and yellow tipple. So taking another ban of specific colored cards. And it's interesting because it definitely was one of the powerhouse engines of the deck, right? These tipples. You get to put an ally in your graveyard, you get to activate your hook and potentially get 2 gold in a turn. And gold is super valuable for Gravy because it lets you filter out your allies later, or it lets you filter blues, activate your Conqueror of the High Seas and whatnot, exchange some cards, gain a resource. There's just the use of gold in Gravy is disgusting, to be honest. And so, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say the biggest like thing too was like where it got most explosive is like someone would play Swell, hit a blue off the top, and all of a sudden just draw 2 more cards with one
Yeah,
floating.
because
like,
of all the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
it's like that's where I felt like the big explosive turns were coming from.
exactly. And that's why I was thinking, Swell is a good hit because it stops the
Mhm.
explosive turns. But hitting tipples also hits the explosive turns by cutting down on the gold for the entire game. I've also heard that, which makes sense. I've heard that this makes the aggro matchup a lot worse. So now instead of having this like 40 to 45% matchup into aggro, now Gravy is really hurting into aggro, which is kind of how he should have always been, considering he has so many no blocks and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
With the Tipple, he was an aggro deck. Like he
yes,
just
that too.
presented so much damage because like, oh, okay, this card that does nothing, I'll fish it out and get a new card and create a gold so I can even present higher some turns.
Yeah, it was interesting, yeah, because especially with like prismatic leyline, like he could just do more damage than you a lot of the time and establish a board at the same time. So that's why. Oh, I know there was some like worries that Rigor Mortis would get hit too because he's just the conversion or the value of that card is insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Tipple also hurts the allies as well because now the less ways to get in the grave, yada yada yada. But anyway, I like you said with Verdance, I don't expect Gravy to be gone, just pushed back a little, right? Like this isn't gonna actually make him not playable. He's still gonna be disgusting into the slower decks, right? But now aggro is a real concern for Gravy.
Mm.
They do mention
Another thing is this opens up fatigue into him as well.
Yes.
Or like before you go into like a good player and you try and fatigue them, they just pitch stack a hand where they can swell, draw gold, like draw off gold, do all this crazy stuff, and then deal like 30 damage. But like, and like I even know that there was some people around here that were running like last ditch efforts, so they could go like last ditch effort for 8 go again, last ditch effort for 8 go again into ally with go again, into another ally with go again, and it's like it was a lot of damage. And it happened to me once where I was just like, okay, like incidentally, like I like my game plan's never too straight fatigue, but incidentally, like we were in the fatigue state, and then just boom, 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 and I just got smoked.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because this directly cuts 6 gold from the deck, but it also indirectly cuts another 6 gold in the deck in the form of hook activations.
Yeah.
And sometimes like they're throwing a yellow tipple at you, you can't really afford to block a whole card on it when they hook it, right? And so it by cutting down all the gold generation, then yeah, it makes fatigue a bit harder because yeah, you have less digging you can do. You have less pitch stacking you can do for those big turns and getting the resources and yada yada yada. So yeah, actually fatigue becomes a little bit more of a concern. I will say I think Gravies will probably just start throwing more whalers in their deck, and then fatigue isn't really that a problem
That's
because
true.
they started cutting them because they were running this type of package, but now the whalers probably just start coming back in instead. But yeah, it's he definitely loses points into not just aggro, but into everything else as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say I was expecting swell because
Yeah.
they would have kept the power level high, but it would have taken the ceiling away. Because like usually like the turns that felt really bad to me, where it's like, oh, I play swell, pitching a blue, hitting a blue, like and throwing 1 damage, but gaining 3 resources, like you're floating 5. And I'm like, that's when it felt really crazy.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like you keep drawing. You just keep drawing, and you get to go so deep into your deck when you hit off swell. And it was like outside, and like I think my ideas and positions are a little bit skewed because like playing Valda, I'm like, you can draw gold, like I don't care. You can do all your hero ability, like I don't care. You can, it doesn't matter as much. But when all of a sudden you're like, oh, I hit swell, hit a blue, drew like 3-4 cards, threw Conqueror into an ally, into another Conqueror of the High Seas, into like this random thing, into a C and C, or like, sure, those are the power cards, but like when those kind of things were happening, that's when I was just like, man, how like that felt bad. Like I was playing a really tight, really good game. Like it was really like back and forth, and I was on Balda, and then all of a sudden you hit a blue off top, and then you just blew me up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I wanted that hit too, and it would still make him a good deck, just not like you said, not as much of a ceiling.
Mhm.
But I think that they didn't want him to be such a strong deck anymore. I think they wanted him not to overshadow the Super Slam heroes, and so it makes sense to hit him a little harder than that.
Yeah, and I was really worried, especially going into Guardian and Brute, that like if Gravy was still like the top deck, they just couldn't compete. Like
Yeah.
Guardian was bad and good. Like Valda was fine, but that's because she gets stronger with the opponent drawing cards. So it's like Valda, like, okay, like maybe into a good player, I'm not like 50-50, but I'm like, it's still playable. But the other gardens were absolutely unplayable. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and
we'll
then
see.
yeah, we'll see how the Super Slam heroes turn out, but I imagine
Mhm.
they wouldn't be great into Gravy, at least great to unbanned Gravy. Um, Now they did mention some other things that were concerns, which is that Marlin takes a hit from this. Marlin, notably not a meta deck by any means, kind of needed those tipples to get some card advantage out of the free harpoons that were being made, and now loses that. And they directly address that in the article and mentioned that. Well, they mentioned a couple of things actually, which was really interesting. First, they specifically call out not doing hero specific bans because eventually it gets to the point where it's a huge web of bands and it's too hard to keep track of, right? And that's something that I think a lot of us as non-game designers overlooked when we were thinking, oh, why not just ban bonds for Zen, or why not just ban, Tipple for Gravy, or why not? I'm trying to think of some other examples. Like why not just do hero specific bans like this? Because
I
it
remember
makes
the gloves in Lexi was a big one
yes,
too.
bullseye bracers and Lexi.
Yes.
But and they mentioned that at first it's fine, like once if you only have a few of these bands, then it's not a big deal, but as you continue to grow that list of hero specific bands, it becomes way more complicated to keep track of, and they're looking at it from a designer's perspective where they need to take a step ahead, like look ahead at what these hero specific bands would mean, and so it makes a lot of sense not to do it based off of that, and I have to agree with that. It even though it detracts from the game, the complication would also detract from of having all those types of bands would detract from the game even further. So I think it makes a lot of sense not to do hero specific bands. But I thought that was really interesting that they directly addressed that in the article.
And I like to say that, like, as much as it sucks for Marlin to get worse, I am happy that they're not afraid to like take down what they think is the correct ban just because another deck needs that card. Because like if we have like per se a Lexi situation again where we have this like top dog meta deck for 6 months, 9 months, I can't remember how long, but she was the top for like months on end.
Yeah.
And it felt like, well, we don't want to hurt Azalea. Like she's pretty good now, and we don't want to take away her at like her chance to gain LL points just because Lexi is like throwing so much damage a turn with disruption. So it feels good that like, and like they also directly address this saying like Marlon's getting more support. Like she's getting support in Super Slam. She's gonna be getting more support in the next few sets. So it feels good that they're like, hey, she's getting support, but we can't be afraid to take out what we think is the correct ban on like Gravy just because Marlon uses that card and she's not so good right now.
Yeah, and yeah, I was going to bring that up too. So they specifically mentioned that in the next, I think my reading of it meant that, or understood it, that they were going to give Marlon's going to get a support card in the next 3 sets. Is how I read it. She's going to get one in Super Slam. They specifically say Super Slam she gets one, and then they said in the upcoming sets beyond that. So my prediction is that the next 2 sets after she's going to get an expansion slot card, and then eventually be a pretty decent hero. I don't know exactly what she needs to be a decent hero. I would think it's probably some better arrows. Sometimes the arrow comes in for 10 overpower, and you're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, but this on hit doesn't do anything. So I think
I mean, her arrows on the on hits are relevant.
They're good.
Gross.
They are really good when they're relevant, yeah. But sometimes they aren't, and it's just You also need too many. You just need so many cards to make them relevant too, right? You have to have. You either need to crack a gold for an extra blue or for an extra resource, or you have to spend 2 blues and send a 2 cost arrow, and that's 3 card 10. And it's only matters if the on hit's relevant, but if the on hit's not relevant, you just did a 3 card 10. So
I like how she looks, but it just what I was like kind of discussing with you and even a little bit on Tuesday was like it feels like Marlon is very much a hero where she has a strong ability and she has the potential to do some really crazy things. But what like she struggles from is like she plays very different than all the rest of the Rangers. And it actually, like, now that I think about it more, like a lot of the Rangers play very different from each other. Like you have Riptide, that's a trap ranger. You have Azalea, which is a tall dominate. And like, although she's like tall overpower like Azalea, it's just she plays differently. She can't reload. She can't just draw naturally off her weapon. She like there's so much like so many extra steps Marlon has to go through to gain that same thing Azalea had.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The cards just don't feel like they support it as well as they did like Azalea or even an aggressive Riptide.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we'll have to see what the support she gets is, but for the meantime, she gets a little bit worse because of Gravy.
Yeah, I mean, she is my favorite Ranger, so it's like
she's really cool.
She gets support,
right? Yeah, I like her a lot. The next one is Bonds of Agony, and this was interesting because there were talks.
I'm free again. Let's go.
It was always going to be either Bonds or Mantle, and they ended up choosing Bonds. And they mentioned that, and it makes a lot of sense. In the beginning, Bonds was not as it was a lot more of an investment to trigger, right? Because if you were playing new, you had to have the chi, and you had to use your boots and stuff, and it was only your only attack unless you got go again from a dagger hitting, right? And so it was just a little bit more of an investment to actually get the Bonds activation, and it was usually coming in for not a ton, right? It wasn't coming in for 10 or 13 or whatever. It was coming in for like 5 if it did come in for non-hit. And so now with Slippy getting to have go again on it, and a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you overblock it, they just go to the next chain link. If you don't overblock it, then they just make it 13 and hit you and take away your best cards. It makes sense just to get rid of it. Keep Mantle, which Mantle is a pretty cool card and is a nice fun toolbox card, and just get rid of the card that's like the feels bad. So I do like it overall. I think it was necessary, and I'm happy as Dio that it's gone.
So I have a lot to say about bonds.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some of this I can agree with, and like especially Slippy. I think Slippy made bonds feel the worst because it's like, okay, it's go again. I have 3 cards in hand. What are you gonna do? And it's like, no blocks. Oh, well, I only have reacts this turn. So this is actually coming in for 15, 15, banished card from hand, da 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 da. And like you've listened to me on the podcast. Like I've had that enough where like even like I've been like, okay, I blocked with 6 cards. They dealt 17 damage with a Justinic bonds and killed me just straight up. And they're like stuff like that. And it's like there's so many times like and you can get that outside of just Bonds of Agony, but it feels worse, especially like mid game too, where like, okay, if this hits, you lose your hand and you can't play.
Yeah.
But if I don't have the reacts, then I'm gonna hit you with something next that is also relatively bad. And it's like a lose-lose situation because it's like, okay, I sit down, I block for like Bond 6. Sure. And like I want to say one other thing. Like, I haven't even like tried to be like I won't even say super. Like, I haven't even tried to like really step into the competitive scene like heavily in like a year and a half since like heavy hitters came out. I just it's been hard for me to feel motivated when Guardian's been in the spot it's been in. But like recently, I've been trying to do it more. But because of that, I haven't like really truly learned bonds math and the correct way to block bonds in a lot of ways.
Well, that was the
And
problem. Now that's what I was going to get at. Is the problem is that they have equipment on board that just makes it 4, and so it could be for 4 or it could be for 15, and you just can't realistically block it in a way that
mhm,
works for all of it, right? Because
yeah,
that was my biggest problem is, and as Dio, you don't have to do reacts, and so I'd have to like pre-math it out and be like, okay, if they have a +3 react, then I can stop this by blocking for 7, and then they would have just the Nick instead, and it's like, well, nothing I could do about that, right? Like,
and I've been in those situations where it's like, okay, like if I block 7 or I block 8, I'm preparing for this, and it's like, oh, just an egg or like red shredded or something weird like that. And it's
yeah,
like, okay, why would you want like? But it's like a lot of like really it just never felt like I could get it correct, and it was just like it was frustrating in that regard. And then also as like a guardian, you get to take what card out of my hand, which is a huge difference from I get to choose the card I get to take.
yeah,
And especially if it's like a power card, like there's been so many times like playing into Slippy, I had the quick dodge flexors purely for when I got bonds because I'm like, I'm gonna get bonds.
right,
And the reason in that I would have quick dodge flexors was not to react to stop a bond. Like, although it did happen, it was more of a, oh, they bonds me. I'm holding my spinal crush or my one power card. I need to win this game. I'm just pitching this away to make sure that they don't banish all of them outside of my deck.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
and it's like there's some cool unique play around that, but it's just like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Exactly. And there was a rare but very impactful situation that could happen where, they throw a regular attack, you say no blocks, and they go, all right, mantle bonds, and you look in your hand, which is 2 or 3 copies of the same card, and you're like, well, my turn's fucked.
Yeah.
And that would happen sometimes to me, where like they mantle, and then looking at my hand with 2 0 to 60s, and they take both of them. It's like, well, now I'm not doing anything on my turn. I said
Yeah,
2
and I
items.
mean like as a guardian player too, like okay, I need 2 blues to throw this hand. Or I'm just throwing hammer. Okay, like I won't whatever like oh it's a bond. It's like well I'm fucked if this hits, so I gotta find some way to block it. Or like oh they mantled into bonds. I'm like I'm throwing hammer and I just took 15 damage and I have a 3-card hand.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly. The disruption
ugh,
was obviously a massive deal because there wasn't any restriction. It was any card, and it was it could be multiple of the card too. So then you sometimes have to block it with one of those cards just in case it did happen. and then they would happen and they'd take a second card. So you basically would lose 2 cards to it a lot of the times if you had 2 copies of the same card in your hand. And so anyway, long story short, I like the ban. I'm glad to see the card go. I haven't heard a lot of opposition to this ban at all. I think everyone's pretty happy with it. Even the assassin players, I think, have heard that they're not upset that it's gone.
Yeah, from what I can tell from Assassin's player, it's like I'm not happy it's gone, but it's better for the game that this card's gone.
Exactly. Like it's not like this is ending my life type thing. It's just like this makes sense. Like it sucks, but it makes sense.
And I want to, and like one thing I want to, or like there's a couple more things. I have a lot of opinions on this card specifically, but like there's a lot of talk over Mantle or this card. Like I've always been in the opinion of Bonds, just because like I think Mantle's like cool and unique, and sure it's got some gotcha moments, but the game's fun when you got that gotcha moment. Like it feels cool to be like on Guardian and be like, oh, I have 6 Seismic Surge, I have my specialization, I have a Terra Sunder, and they just play it off Arsenal. Like I'm going to, and I have like a pummel. Like maybe I have something crazy like that. And it's like, it feels good to be like, I'm throwing 15 dominate on hit discard 3. Like that feels good. And it's like, I played around it. It's just like, and Mantle has that kind of thing where it's like, aha, like I turned this into a Black Widow. But like, man, does it feel bad when it's like, I can't see it coming. And it's like I lose everything to it. And it's like it's also fairly easy to pull off. Like, oh, I flick knives and I pop my boots. And then it's not like what I was talking about, like that Guardian situation. Like I'm taking all the damage you're throwing at me, or like I've had to do some setup turn before because I need that 6 Seismic Surge, and I didn't just get that. Okay, I got 6 Seismic Surge because of that last turn. I set it up this way, or I played a Seismic Eruption, or I've been like strategically waiting on my like specialization to play it when I drew something else that was relevant to Arsenal or something like that. It's like I've been planning around it where it's like a lot of times it felt like Bonds, it just happens. And I'm like, oh man. And then I think Take of the Mantle feels a lot better because like even if it's Black Widow, banish from hand. At least like, okay, well I need my 2 blues. I'm not banishing that. Okay, well my second red that I was gonna Arsenal, I'll just banish that instead and still throw my turn.
Right.
So it is
Black Widow on hit is much less disruptive, but it's still a good on hit, right? But it's still just like, okay, this is manageable.
Yeah, and like the other thing too is like, oh man, like I'm losing my Spinal Crush. At least I have 2 more in the deck.
Yeah, that too.
And like it feels like it's also could, not that it might not. It might always be Black Widow, but like the opportunity for the deck to open up and choose other cards on Mantle now, where it's like, okay, I'm going to a fatigue state. I need less hand disruption, and I just need to double trouble and take out cards off the top of their deck. It feels like it hopefully opens up the opportunities where it's like actually like a unique card instead of like, oh, I play Mantle, let me get my bonds, let me play the bonds. Okay, like
Mantle's a cool card, and it was only held back by Bonds in terms of its power level being too strong.
Yeah. And then one last thing I want to say about Bonds before we go. A lot of opinions up in my brain, but I think they talk about somewhere like it being like a mission or something. Like it's something where taking on a somewhat challenging quest of deploying multiple attack reactions in the same chain link is never like I completely disagree with that wording. It has never ever been a challenge when like New had pieces of equipment that would turn into 2 reacts.
Yeah.
And when you have flick knives and like sure the like more modern assassins ran snapdragons just to give 1 more react on a chain link when they drew bonds and they really wanted to throw it. But it's never like, if anything, it started out as 0 challenge and has gotten a little bit more challenging as time to throw all those reacts. So like that statement, I'm not like in a complete agreement. Like Bonds wasn't as bad with new because she couldn't pump it so high. Like just Nick Bonds was still bad. But like, okay, I give it go again, but I had to destroy all my equipment to do it. It's like, but it's never felt like a mission to turn on Bonds. It's just if they wanted to, if I didn't overblock, Bonds was always online.
Yeah, it was more that it was a little bit is way more blockable in new, right?
Yeah.
Because the amount that is coming in for was fairly telegraphed. Um in Slippy it wasn't. That's like that was the big thing. It was like, yeah, I have to agree with you there though. It wasn't really trivial to activate it. It was more trivial for it to hit and actually be impactful.
That's fair.
But yeah, but no, I agree with you. I don't think it was that difficult to trigger before because of the equipment that new ran. But new ran that equipment, I think primarily for bonds, but it was also just kind of good in general to have go again or +1 as a reaction on your equipment.
Yeah, and I had a lot to say about bonds. We can finally move on, but like that's. I had a big opinion on that one, and I am very happy because I actually love a lot of what the assassins do, and I think there's a lot of really cool things. It's just I did not think that Bonds was healthy for the game, and that was the card I was ready to see go, and I was very happy that it looks like the developers agree that that was the card that needed to go and would help with the game.
Yeah, yep, I agree. Now before we talk about a game, because that's a really interesting one I want to talk about at the end.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go over that Germany is unbanned, and this is a really cool unbanning because this is not the first time they've unbanned a card in CC. We saw Bonds unbanned in the last BNR, or maybe 2 BNRs ago.
Something like that.
Bonds of Ancestry. I should clarify.
Yeah, Bonds of Ancestry.
So it's interesting that it's nice that they are still looking over the cards that are banned, and it's very clear that bans are not permanent and that they are willing to revert some of these bans when it's allowed. And so it's really cool to see this unbanning. I saw a healthy amount. I guess I haven't seen much talk about this ban being good. I feel like everyone's kind of memes on Florian and that he's still not good even after this unban. But I don't know. Florian, he's only barely being held back by Gravy and Verdance, right? And
I mean, his Verdance matchup just got a ton better. Ton better.
Verdance got a ton better. Gravy got better.
Yeah, and I mean, he might still be bad into Gravy, but it's still
much more
better.
playable. Yeah, much more playable. And so, Germinate by itself, like the effect by itself, is not the best thing in the world to play for in most matchups. But just having another blue 3-block Earth card is a big deal for Florian. Yeah, it's a massive deal by itself. It doesn't matter if it has text or not. Just having an additional 3 copies of that in your deck is a big deal. So anyway, I saw a lot of sentiment, like negative sentiment towards Florian, and I was like, this is kind of a big deal for him, especially as a Geo player. This is a big deal for him.
I mean, a lot of Florian players is so excited to see Germinate ban.
Yeah, and like, so this coming back is pretty big for him. I expect Florian to be a big part of the meta, even if he's not the best deck to play. I expect him to be a big part of the meta coming up.
No, I agree. Like, I expect him to be relevant, like a deck you have to think about when you sit down to play.
Yeah.
He is my like kryptonite though in some way because like I always think of Florian as a guardian, so I always forget to bring Null Rune. Like,
oh right.
I think it's the last like 2 or 3 times I played into Florian. I sat down and didn't bring Null Rune, and it wasn't until they threw a rune chant at me. I'm like, oh yeah, they do arcane. Oh, this is bad.
Yeah. Yep. Having to lose a whole equipment slot is a downside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't have much more to say about it, but I feel like Florian does get a pretty big bump.
It's exciting to see it come back. I don't actually have a super strong opinion on the Germinate and Florian. Like, I mean, I probably should have a stronger opinion because, like, Guardian goes second cycle with Florian, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, here's 20 rune chants. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So it's like, I should maybe have a bigger opinion, but, like,
yeah,
I don't know. Valda's pretty quick, and I think I have some fun ways to play around it.
Yep. And then last but not least for the CC changes, Talk a Big Game is banned. Super spicy. They say
Super
in the
spicy.
article that this is because in testing, a hero in Super Slam uses this card way too effectively, which is so cool. It's so cool to hear. Oh, first of all, big shout out to LSS for doing these preemptive bans. They also call out specifically the Zephyr Needle like ban suggestion, or no, how do I phrase this? The Zephyr Needle debacle, I guess you could say, from the Hunted set, where they banned it like a week before the set came out or something. I think it was an emergency ban.
Wasn't it like a week after? Like there was not any big events, but like
maybe there were no real events that happened,
summer.
but it was banned before any big event happened. But it was sometime right.
It might have been during spoiler season or after, but it was like the idea of the card and how people were playing around it was in like retrieve. It was the retrieve card, because you throw Zephyr Needle out, then it would get destroyed, and then you'd just be able to retrieve it and then throw it again. And like it was like Ira was throwing 16 to 20 damage a turn.
She's been winning LL tournaments. That deck wins LL tournaments. So very strong effect. And they decided to, at the time, they decided to let the players figure out this strong combo existed, and to like kind of let it play out for a couple tournaments and then ban it. Well, that was their intention. And then they realized it was way too strong and people found it way too quick. So they're like, okay, we got to ban it before it's too dominant of a strategy. And so, long story short, that's the precedent for this ban, where they are not letting, they're saying, okay, we're too smart about figuring out these combos, and it's going to be this card is going to be a problem. They don't want to let people figure it out and like show up to tournaments with this card. In my presumption is Lyath, but we'll talk about that.
I was actually thinking Pleiades.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I was hoping it could have also been Tough Nut.
Yeah. Okay. But wait. So, but long story short, before we talk about, we speculate. I like this ban. I hate that I have EA copies of this card, because I played Rhinar, because that was the only deck that played this card before. It was Rhinar, because you could intimidate and call out like 3 or 6 or something like that, and then usually get the 3 or 6 mites out of your blue. But it wasn't really played much before. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, it seems kind of interesting because it looks like this card was on the back of a lot of people's minds. Because I don't know if you've seen all the people posting pictures of their signed copies or all their EA copies that they got while waiting for it to become good.
Yeah,
it's a really cool card, and it was like really interesting because like I actually like the week prior put it in my maybe board for Valda, because I'm like, okay, because what I'm hitting, like sometimes you disrupt and I get a full blue hand, and I'm like, or like you can just go on a steamroll on it. So I was actually like thinking about it in like Valda, but it's like it seems like it's on everyone's mind, but it wasn't broken beforehand. But it's like super, I'm super happy to see this ban. Like I'm so happy to see this ban. Like I think everyone, I've heard no negative sentiment on this.
Yeah.
Well, like we could probably go to like Bloom of Evergrowth. Like people knew something had to go Verdance, but they were like, maybe it could have been H-Pot. You could have gone with Bonds, but people want like Mantle. Golden Tipple could have been something else. I think everyone's just like, yep, good ban. Like pack it up. Like we agree. Like if it's a degenerate deck, we don't want to play with it. Like,
yeah, exactly. But I do. Unless you want to talk more about like the ban process, I want to speculate on Talk a Big Game.
Oh yeah. Okay. All
right. So my thought is that they started introducing Intimidate and Guardian with the I think it's just reviled cards.
It is reviled.
So reviled cards have Intimidate, and so that means KO and Lyath can use them. And it's becoming clear that Lyath, the way that you get around the hero ability of your card's power and defense being halved, is that you play a lot of buffs, right? And so the combination of having these Guardian Aureas that pop at the start of your turn and give like +5 power, plus these new Intimidate cards that Lyath has access to, I'm starting to feel like Lyath is going to be this hero that has these like on turn, off turns of like, here's my turn. I have 1 or 2 auras popping for like plus 10 damage. And then I'm going to play like Nimblism or something like that. And then I'm going to play one of these reviled attacks that intimidates you twice or 3 times. And now this attack is coming in for like 20 and you have 1 card to block with. And so I think that's my theory, is that that's a fairly common play pattern for Lyath. And that Talk a Big Game could be announced for like 10.
So I'm actually on a very similar page, but for like Pleiades, because
Yeah.
like depending on how they do the suspense counters, I was thinking it was going to be you put down a bunch of buffing auras for suspense, move them around, have 3 of them pop at once. Like, oh, my next attack gets plus 15. I have a confidence token. Okay, talk a big game, naming 15, and then I'm throwing this big attack at you.
Well, does she have Suspensors that buff?
We don't know yet. We
Okay.
don't.
And
That's kind of where I was like,
is if she does, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Then I could see Pleiades, but I don't think we have seen anything that we haven't seen a lot of buffing for Pleiades.
we haven't seen a lot of suspense auras either. We only have seen 2, and one's in the armory deck. So we haven't even seen any inside. Like, we've only seen 1 inside of the main set yet.
Right.
So it's like, I want to like, it was definitely speculation, but I think it's also my like little Pleiades brain, like excited to play Pleiades, is very like focused on her.
Yeah, Bully Tactics is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, no, when you said it, it made sense though. Like, it makes a lot of sense for Lyath to be like, this is coming in for 20. You can only defend with 1 card.
Yeah, like this 1 card you can intimidate 3 times with 1 blue. Bully Tactics. Absolutely insane. And then if you buff this, I will say that a lot of the buffs so far are Guardian buffs, and this is just a reviled attack. It's not a reviled Guardian attack. So you need specific buffs, but that's just like very clear what the play pattern for Lyath is going to be, is that you buff your attacks to get around the hero ability. And so that's my theory. My theory is that Lyath does a lot of intimidating and a lot of buffing, and even without the buffing, just like have like basically the buffing is just like saying he's going to do big attacks with intimidate. And so that was my theory, is that it was way too good in Lyath, which is interesting because Talk a Big Game was not banned in LL. It was banned in CC, it was banned in Blitz, but it was not banned in LL. So there's a chance.
That is the playground format. That is the format where they want you to fuck around and find out the deck and then like blow up with it.
Right. So I'd be curious. I don't know. Lyath is looking pretty interesting to me. It's fun how this preemptive ban is allowing this speculation of what these heroes are going to play like, which is really cool. I've been having a lot of fun just like thinking through the potential reasons why this card was banned.
And it's cool because like this ban has got me more excited for the set.
Yeah.
Because it's somewhere like I'm excited. Obviously, I love Brute and Guardian. I play Levia and like all the Guardians but Betsy. Like, I'm excited. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, this is your kind of set.
this is my set. But at the same time, like, I was like, man, like we haven't gotten good Guardian cards since like Everfest. So like, what are the chances? Or yeah, Everfest. It's like, what are the chances that we like actually get something relevant? And then when they're like, oh, we have to ban this card because like these classes do broken things with them, I'm like, we're getting good cards,
right? Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's the other half of the coin, is that they're saying specifically that a deck was too strong with this card, which means that even without this card the deck is probably strong. And now it's like, okay, cool, there's fun stuff happening. Like having a 5 intellect hero that is hopefully not broken but good is sick. I'm excited for it.
It's kind of interesting though, because like from what I can tell and like the insight I've been picking up from the devs, or like kind of the tone they've been talking about it feels like Tough Nut might actually be better than Lyath. Because
you think so?
Like, we'll see coming out of it, but they're always talking about Tough Nut and how crazy Tough Nut is. And I have a feeling that they're going to do the Marlin thing where they're scared of what she can do. So they make him a little weak on the outcome. He's still going to do crazy stuff. Like, I still feel like he's going to be able to do like a intimidate for 3 times 20 damage. But I feel like he's going to have some off turns that are going to
So okay, let me pull up Tough Nut again. My big problem with evaluating Tough Nut is that he seems. I just don't understand how like where he gets broken. Like
It's a very
what makes
valid
him
point.
good? You know what is exactly the payoff for losing intellect? Because just pitching a card from the top of your deck, you're at 4 cards, but you were forced to pitch a card, right?
Yeah.
And so I think my big question is like what they need to make some stuff that makes this guy good. That gives you a really good reason to run
Yeah.
him. And I have yet to see that is the only problem. Like I could believe it. I could believe that they print something really busted for Tough Nut and he ends up being a good hero. But I have a lot of it's easier to get hyped around a 5 intellect hero that could be busted than a 3 intellect hero that could be busted, you know?
No, I mean, that's true. It's just like there's been no talk with Lyath, so it's like,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to see Lyath, and I think like I've heard a lot of non-Guardian players be like, Lyath like makes me want to play Guardian. Like,
Yeah. I mean, he's not
just
a really
looks cool.
Guardian. I don't know.
He's not really a Guardian. That's
so
true.
far. I'm not seeing any Guardian in him. That's what I think I talked about a couple episodes ago. Was that Lyath seems like the non-Guardian Guardian, right? Like he's gonna technically run Guardian cards because he has the Guardian class, but I feel like he's gonna be more of a reviled deck than a Guardian deck.
That's true.
From what I've seen so far.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. It was really very fun, speculative ban like that. I like to see it. I like to see these preemptive bans. And I'm excited to see how it works in LL.
M too. I'm really excited, and it got me more excited to like hear that they had to ban something because of the set. I'm like, let's go! Like we got good Guardians. We're back, baby.
Exactly. Ben, anything else you want to talk about the CC bans before we talk about the one living legend change?
Well, they did the talk a big game in Blitz.
Yeah,
I want to say
also Blitz for the same reason.
Yeah, same reason. But no, I think we're
all right.
We're good.
So then they did one change in Living Legend, and that was to unrestrict Deadwood Dirge. So now the LL Vizorite deck is a legal armory deck. That was so funny whenever they announced the ban. I was like, wait, this armory deck that isn't even out yet is just not legal.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they said about why. Let me look back at it. It's basically to bring Chain and Vizrai back.
They do mention the armory deck.
They do, yeah. But yeah, this makes Chain better. Makes Vizrai playable, but Chain is probably still the better Runeblade.
And Starvo's still bad.
Starvo is still bad, but playable. Still bad.
I mean, Bravo's technically playable.
That's true. There's a lot of playable heroes in LL. You can play Enigma if you really want to.
You could.
That is an option available to you. I don't recommend it, but feel free to try.
Sorry, and I meant Bravo Showstopper.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, the original Bravo.
Yeah. The original Bravo is technically playable.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so we did have after the bans, we did have something else interesting happen this week, which was that there was a massive leak of Super Slam. Long story short, someone I guess stole a shipment in progress on its way. I think it was somewhere in France because some of the cards were French, and someone basically like hijacked a shipment or something, stole the cards, and then posted pictures, cracked all the packs and posted pictures all over somewhere. I think it might have been Twitter or something. And first of all, not a cool thing to do, obviously. But it's interesting that this started a discussion revolving the spoiler season. But before we get into that, we're not going to talk about any of the leaked cards here. Please be respectful of the content creators that put a lot of work into the spoiler videos and whatnot that they're doing for these cards, and please go continue to support them. Uh, please don't try not to discuss the cards too much until they're spoiled officially, because we don't want to take away from the content creators that got cards. We're looking forward to hopefully our eventual spoiler card in the future, and so we really want to be respectful of that in the meantime, and make sure everyone gets their fun out of the spoiler season.
Yeah. I've been like really like I heard that there are leaks and like for like I want to say to respect the content creators and to go watch it. I haven't actually seen a single leak.
Oh really?
I haven't seen a single leaked card, nothing. And like a little like it's like to respect content creators and all that kind of stuff. And like I don't want to downplay that. The way I said it felt very downplayed. But no, it's like to respect them, but it's also to like it just feels more fun to like go and watch those videos personally, like to go and like okay, like it was really cool. Like the first time I was like watching a spoiler season when I first got into Flesh and Blood, because I didn't have spoiler, like I didn't play card games really before this. So like cards didn't really get spoiled to me. So it was really cool to be like, oh man, I'm gonna stay up a little late tonight to watch all these videos as they come out. And then like when I wake up, I'll wake up an hour early to watch the ones I missed or this. So it's like it's really cool to me to be able to like sit down and watch those videos. So it's like a little bit like I've been really careful on the internet the last like couple days after I heard the leaks came out, because like for like the respective content creators, but also just like for my own enjoyment.
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing too. Is that the drip feeding of spoilers is a fun process, right? You get to keep the hype for the setup. You get to slowly figure out and speculate on how the heroes work and how the new cards will affect older heroes as they get fed to you. And yeah, it's a fun process, and it's done. It's done this way for a reason, and for someone to basically take that away from everybody and from LSS, really does suck.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? But I was listening to the Runaways podcast, and as we do on this podcast, we talked about that podcast a lot.
We bring them up a lot. They seem to have a lot of good information.
I mean, yeah, it's good to like. There's a lot of topics to talk about when it comes to the discussions they have. But anyway, something that was mentioned was this is they effectively blamed. Well, I hate to put it this way, because it was basically there was criticism on the way that spoiler seasons are done that allows for this to happen. And what's interesting is that they mentioned that this has happened almost every set, the past few sets. But I know that there's been leaks, like single card or a handful of card leaks have been happening every set. But this is, as far as I'm aware, the first time we've had an entire set leaked before the real preview season started.
Yeah.
So this is, at least as far as I know, this is the first. At least this is the first mainstream leak. Maybe there's been some leaks that have been like cornered off into certain areas of the game. Like maybe only certain people saw them. But this is the first mainstream, like it was everywhere leak. And so I think this is pretty much a first. I don't think it's really too valid to criticize the structure of the spoiler season because of this one leak and because someone stole a shipment in order to have this happen. But
I mean, all the other leaks were like some offhand thing. Like I remember the Max leak was literally Flesh and Blood scheduled like a week too early.
Yeah. So like a lot of the previous leaks were LSS's fault.
Yeah.
Or like the event organizers posting promo images too early or stuff like that. Like that's
And I was gonna say promo that got picked, like sent by the event organizer. Like there's been like small minor leaks that at least we've like seen or heard of. Like, it's like, oh okay, and it's like normally only like 2 or 3 cards.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's usually not like a huge batch of cards like this. It is interesting though, because the way spoiler season has worked has been a very dynamic process over the past couple of years, right? Because I'm trying to remember how it used to work 2 years ago, like when I started the game. When I started the game.
It's always different.
But it basically, I remember they did some experimentation where they would spoil the commons and rares, and then all the majestics and legendaries wouldn't be known until the the release event.
Well, I know that was like Rosetta was like a lot of like, oh, okay, here's like
Yes.
we're spoiling common and rare. Was that Rosetta?
I think I think
Or
it
was that Hunted?
was I think it was Rosetta and Hunted, where
Yeah.
Rosetta they I think it was the opposite. I think Rosetta we got spoiled the Majestics and Legendaries, and then the commons
Mhm.
and rares were not known until the release event, the world
Yeah.
premiere is what I was looking for. And then I think it was Hunted that they did the opposite. They spoiled the commons and rares, and then the Majestics and Legendaries. I could be getting the sets wrong, but they did this swap basically, where they've been
Yeah.
toying with what cards they want to spoil ahead of time and what cards they want to keep secret until the world premiere. And it's always been a fun process of, okay, the world premiere is happening tonight. Let's all stay up and watch our Twitter feeds and stuff and see
Yeah.
what cards all the cards just start streaming in, and everyone's like freaking out of like, oh, this card, oh my god, we're seeing this card, so on and so forth. And so it's been a fun process, and I don't ever want to blame LSS for having that type of spoiler season, because it is fun. It's an enjoyable spoiler season because of it. And it sucks that the downside is that there's more opportunities for leaks like this to happen, and that as the game grows, this will likely be more common as more shops just have bad actors, and like when they get product, they just start cracking it early and showing stuff off. Um, and there's gonna be more and more suppliers that get cards early. Like I know the Haram RB TCG guy. I think he gets his product like a month and a half, 2 months early, so that he can start cracking it and sorting it for sale. And obviously he has a very close relationship with LSS to be able to do that, and like he's good about keeping keeping his lip sealed on stuff coming out and whatnot. But as that partnership group expands, there's going to be more bad actors within that group that will start leaking what's coming out and giving an advantage to people that shouldn't have the advantage of that knowledge. And so it's interesting how this process is going to have to change over time to accommodate the growing game. I thought it was an interesting topic that was brought up. I don't know the right solution for it. I don't know if it's going to eventually have to be that these cards are spoiled before the cards are in anybody's hands, and that we'll have like a month or so between when we have all the cards and when the cards come out. But that's been a topic lately of how does the spoiler season need to change to accommodate leaks? And I think the answer is probably no, at least not for now.
We'll see. They might experiment. Like they're always changing stuff, so it's like they might experiment with something like even just doing it a week earlier. Like having like a longer week for things to sit with players. But like we'll see. Like it could not change. It could change. Like LSS is like as been told or as like told us they're not beholden by rules.
Yeah.
And even then, like one thing that's like going back to the ban and restricted for a second, like LSS was talking about like they're not beholden by the rules of classic TCGs and the ban and restricted. They talked about how they are like they don't see ban and restricted as a failure, like a list of their failures, but they see it as a like form of balancing like a live service, kind of like because like people want more immediate change nowadays and they don't have the time to wait for things to come out to fix the problems, but fix or maybe balance the things that they have come out with. And it's like they're not beholden by these rules, and so like their spoiler season is not beholden by their own rules. So it's like I'm sure we were going to see change the next spoiler season no matter what, but they might go ahead and like, okay, well let's just twist a couple extra knobs this time or something.
Right. And I do want to point out that I think one of the really big things about this game that LSS is trying to preserve is that it is a paper first game. It is meant to be played in the flesh and blood, right? That's why it's called Flesh and Blood. And that's why they've had a pretty, what's what we're looking for? A pretty rigid attitude towards online play with the game. The Talishar is a testing tool first and foremost. It's not meant to be any kind of rank system or like way that the primary way to play the game. It's just supposed to be a tool to test some things very quickly and easily. And if they were to move the spoiler season up, it would effectively cause the format to be solved a lot earlier. Well, there's actually it's twofold effectively. One, the format gets solved earlier, potentially before the set even is in people's hands, and two, it causes a lot more online play as people want to play with these cards. And there's also like a bit of it. There's a longer dead format. I guess there's three things. There's a longer dead format because if you get the new cards a month early, and let's say like it was this set,
I'd say like a month early is an insane push.
Exactly. But what I'm trying to say is like, let's say that happens, right? Where like in order to stop these leaks, they just do a month early. And I think some other games do that. But you basically like if we had this latest set where there's all of these expansion slot cards and a lot of the heroes change drastically based off of this new set, then let's say you have a hero that changes drastically with the new set, and this new card is coming. You're not going to be that excited to play that hero for until the new set comes out, right? And so it kind of would cause this dead format of, there's not a lot of excitement in playing the game now because the new stuff comes out later, right? And it would cause more online play because people want to play with the new stuff, and that's the only way they can really play with it is online because the paper cards aren't out yet. There's so many downsides to moving up the spoiler season that I am very against it. I think that it is much better for the game to keep the spoilers as close to the release as possible, and I'm not sure whether hopefully this is like a one-off thing and it's not really a problem for a long time, or at least it's not as widespread. Like maybe leaks happen, but they're contained. They're not it's not like the entire player base knows these leaks. But there's plenty of reasons not to move up the spoiler season because of this. I think it would be a net negative for the game for them to do that.
No, I wouldn't say net negative. Like, I do think there are some benefits. And even then, like, pushing it forward a week, I don't think would be too
a week
crazy.
Isn't
but
a big
I
deal.
do see, like, we'll see if they do anything. Like, I just don't think it's 100% necessary.
Yeah. But I will
Hopefully
say, a week wouldn't have stopped this, right? Like, if it was pushed up a week, we would still have these leaks happen before the content creators got their stuff.
That's true.
Spoiler stuff. So I think it would have to be more than a week is the problem. And then that's where it starts getting into the problem of, okay, this format is now being mostly tested online, and the format gets solved before like way too early and yada yada yada. So anyway, that was my little tidbit on it. I like the spoiler season as is. I like what they're doing with it. They're constantly changing it though, and I hope they keep it somewhat similar and that this is just a one-off event.
And it's hard for like LSS to have stopped this. Like someone stole product and opened it. It's not like they like could have really done anything.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do about it. And yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, they can move with the spoiler season to prevent it from mattering, but that's just there's too many downsides with doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, again, be sure to support the content creators when they post their spoilers. There's a lot of work that's put into them, and it sucks that they've lost some of that sheen. So try to make up for that if you can by supporting them, giving their stuff a like, watching their videos, yada yada. But anything else on the card leaks before we move forward?
No, I think you've put it very well said.
Yeah, I just wanted to lastly touch up on Battle Hardened Chicago that's happening this weekend. I was originally flip-flopping on whether or not I would go, and basically to try to keep it short, I initially was going to have a new dog this weekend, and it'd be a puppy, and it was not potty trained very well, so I was not going to be able to leave this puppy alone at the house, and also chews on stuff. But basically, my in-laws they rescued a puppy, but they can't hold on to it for too much longer, and so my wife and I are going to take it in, and we flew out to Reno this past Labor Day weekend, and we were planning on flying back. But long story short, couldn't fly back with the dog this time, so we're getting it in a couple weeks. And so originally was going to go, and then once I realized the puppy was not very well potty trained and chews on stuff, I decided I wasn't going to go. And then it was like the day before our flight, realized we couldn't take the puppy back. But then the Battle Hardened event sold out in the meantime. And so then even if I wanted to go, I wouldn't be able to play the main event. Um, and so yeah, long story short, I'm not going for that reason. But really cool event this weekend. I think there should be coverage. There's a CC event on Saturday and an LL event on Sunday, and so that'll be really
wow.
interesting to see. Yeah, um, it'll be really cool to watch. I'm excited to see how people react, how this current meta is, right? This weird in between meta of the ban list
I'm
and Super
so
Slam.
excited.
I in fact, that'd be kind of fun to speculate on some predictions, some meta predictions. What do you think? What do you think is going to be the best deck right now? What do you think will be the most represented? And what do you think will be maybe not the exact top 8, but a rough representation of what you think will do well?
One sec, let me search up heroes.
Yeah.
Because I wanna get a good look.
My theory,
I mean,
is a lot of Florian. A lot of Florian.
I could definitely see Florian.
I think there's going to be a ton of Verdansk too. I think it's basically going to be Earth City. It's going to be a very earthy Chicago, is my prediction.
I could see Acilio blowing up. Like
That too.
He's so strong right now. The other day when I was playing against an Acilio, they did like a 30 damage combo turn and then ended on 2 Sigils of Brilliance and then had a 6-card hand for a second turn. And they sat on an Arsenal, so it was a 7-card hand. So like 30 damage, and then they had a 7-card hand. I'm like, I'm screwed. Like it's over.
Yeah, so it was very strong. So that's a big one too. But I think it'll be like Acilio, Earth, maybe Prism comes back a little bit. I don't know what. I mean,
I could see it.
I'm not sure that that's necessarily the case, but she could come back.
I mean, Syndra, I think it's better.
Syndra's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who do you think's gonna win this weekend then?
Acilio. snap pick Acilio for the winner. But whether or not it's the top 8, I think will be a lot of Earth, maybe 1 or 2 Acilio, is my prediction.
Okay, that's pretty fair. I'm going through and I'm like, that feels kind of similar to what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go spicy and pick Florian.
Yeah, you think Florian will win or Florian will be very represented?
I think he could win it.
Yeah, because I think the main thing is that there were a lot of small bands, right? Like Golden Temple's like, well, okay, not small bands, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's a lot. It feels like a lot of small tweaks that don't cause a huge meta shift. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is Florian comes back.
Florian comes back. I think the biggest thing is Florian comes back and Gravy gets hit pretty hard. And Gravy getting hit pretty hard can allow some other decks to come back in. But I still think Gravy will exist and will be there. And so the other decks can come back, but they're still going to run into Gravy regardless. And,
that's fair.
I think another good deck that could get there is Fang and Kasai. Actually, some of the Warriors could have some good runs there. Now that I think about it,
I feel like if Earth gets strong, Fang goes down. Like Fang's not happy good if Earth comes back.
No, Fang's actually so pretty good in Florian.
He's so scary. Oh, is he good into Florian?
Yeah, he's I don't know. I don't know exactly how good he's into Verdansk, but I know he's good into Florian.
Well, maybe Fang wins it then, but yeah, like Fang scares me. Like I sit down in front of a Fang as like Valda, and I'm like, it's over. Like it's over, dude.
He's really, really good at the Guardians. Yeah, very good at the Guardians.
Like Jarl feels really good in a Fang. Like Frostbite, Fang cries, but Valda in the Fang. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's no. It feels bad.
Yeah. That's my prediction. Oh, and then for LL, it's been kind of a lot of the tournaments have been too small to really know what's good and what's not. Drumlife felt really good. I've been seeing a lot of Briar, but Briar, it's weird. Briar has both impressed and unimpressed me in the games that I've played. And then Shane's obviously pretty good. There's like some CYB decks roaming around, but I'm really interested to see because I just don't know enough about the LL format to know like having good predictions. I haven't played quite enough. But I know that Ira's been doing really well every time. So maybe Ira just wins it again.
Yeah.
Like the third time in a row.
So this is not a constructive comment and is very facetious. But I can't believe that Briar is like 33% of the meta of Living Legend. And they unrestricted a Runeblade card. But they couldn't give me Crown of Seeds back.
Dirge isn't a Briar card though.
It's not. That's why I'm like, it's not constructive at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Oh, actually, one last note is that the next BNR is
I did want to bring that up.
It's less than 2 weeks before Worlds. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
I am surprised that it's so far into the year. It's November 3rd is the next BNR. And it was like, I didn't even think of Worlds because I didn't think it was going to be too relevant to me because I'm like, I'm not right. in Worlds. But I was just like, why isn't there like another BNR? We're going to go a whole like September, October, November, like 3 months before we get another ban and restricted.
Yeah.
Like what if there is something crazy? Like they haven't like I just don't understand not putting in more ban periods just because like again, we've talked about this before. Like they could say no bans. They could say nothing changed. Like, oh, we're waiting for things to go. But it feels like they're not giving themselves the opportunity because like say there is a broken Super Slam hero. Say KO comes out and KO is insanely broken. Like I think, and they just haven't given themselves the opportunity to go back and fix it if need be. It's just odd to me, but they know better.
Super interesting because so basically the PQ season is right butting up against Worlds, right? So the PQ season actually doesn't end until okay. First, I'll rewind a little bit. First interesting thing about the next BNR is that it was published on Monday, November 3rd, but the changes aren't effective until Monday, November 10th. So it's actually an entire week from when they publish the BNR to when it's active. And the reason for that is that they're going to publish the BNR on Monday, November 3rd. And that following weekend, there are still ProQuests happening. And so they're going to have ProQuests happen before the BNRs take effect. Then the BNR will take effect on the Monday after ProQuest, the final week of ProQuests. So they're basically letting everybody know, hey, this is what's going to happen. So you have a little bit of time ahead of Worlds is the intention.
But still, what I'm thinking is like, why not just do it right before ProQuest in case there's something crazy? Like there might not be.
My thoughts are that they need the ProQuest data to make these
a valid BNR.
Yeah. I think that they use the ProQuest data in order to make decisions based on for the BNR. And so that's the reasoning there. I think that there's a chance that they could have pushed it up a week, but they probably wanted to give themselves as much time as possible. But
as much data.
I wanted to say something about the timing of it is that I'm still under the impression just don't have scheduled BNRs and just say just let us know what 2 weeks ahead. Like, let us know, hey, in 2 weeks, there's going to be a BNR. That's all we need. 2 weeks notice that there is going to be a BNR. Then we can kind of mentally prepare for it. It's not like we can actually do anything about it. Knowing that the BNR is on Monday, November 3rd, and then effective Monday, November 10th, what am I going to do with that information, right? That's going to be relevant right now. Why not just know 2 weeks ahead of time that there's going to be a BNR, and then I can adjust at that point? So I don't see the reason for these scheduled BNRs. Just let us know 2 weeks ahead, and then you can make it whenever you need it to be. If we start seeing the first weekend of ProQuests that Lyath is too strong or something, then they can say, okay, in 2 weeks we're gonna have a BNR, then it could be a little bit earlier or something, right? But that was a big change, or the big thing to note is that the BNR has that interesting gap. It's because PQ season bumps up against Worlds, and long story short, the PQ season probably should have been shifted up like a week or two to accommodate that. Is really what the solution here would have been, and then it would have given people more time for Worlds. But
anyway, it's whatever.
It's fine.
Again,
It'll
I
be
just
fine.
found it odd that we had to wait so long for something to happen. And again, like I don't care if there's changes if the meta's healthy. And like this
Right.
last meta was healthy. I think that a lot of the bans were pretty much just like, hey, we're trying to show you that we're being more aggressive.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's like I wouldn't be surprised if like they just put more ban periods like once a month and then like 9 out of 10 of them like, oh, no change, no change, no change. Hey, here's big change, no change, no change. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion. Like outside of that, the ban and restricted announcement, pretty good. I would say 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 rating.
Oh yeah. Same for me.
5 stars, good meal.
But yeah, before
Dessert
we
could have been better.
yeah, anything else you want to say before we before we let the listeners go?
No, I think we're good.
All right, I'll leave them with a question. What do you think about the bans? Let us know in the comments below, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify. And with that, I'm Cody.
And I'm Jacob.
Thank you for watching and listening.